In this video, I will show how to convert rectangular coordinates into polar coordinates. And to do that, we have to remember the following relations between the polar coordinates and rectangular coordinates. R squared is equal to x squared plus y squared, and tangent theta is equal to y over x. Again, it's easy to remember these relations just by drawing out the polar coordinates of a point along with x and y coordinates. So again, by Pythagorean theorem, x squared plus y squared equals to r squared, and tangent theta is equal to y over x. So what's given here is x and y. So we take 3 and negative 3 and we plug it into this equation. So we get r squared is equal to 3 squared plus negative 3 squared, which is 18. And we get tangent theta, which is equal to negative 3 over 3, negative 1. That means r could be plus or minus square root of 18. And theta could be tangent inverse of negative 1 plus pi k. And depending on the quadrant, we would just pick either positive or negative value for r. So in this case, the point 3, negative 3 is in the fourth quadrant. So one of the polar coordinates could be negative pi over 4, negative square root of, positive square root of 18. However, there is a requirement that theta has to be on in the interval between 0 and 2 pi. And by the way, we always write r first and then theta. So the coordinates of the point that we found first are square root of 18, negative pi over 4. To satisfy this requirement, what we're going to do is we're going to add 180 degrees, but to compensate for that addition, we have to change the sign of r. So negative pi over 4 plus pi will be 3 pi over 4, and opposite of square root of 18 will be negative radical 18. And since the problem is asking for two sets of polar coordinates that satisfy such condition, I'm going to add another pi to 3 pi over 4, which will give us 7 pi over 4, and then I will have to multiply by negative 1 again. So I get square root of 18. One thing that can be added here is we can simplify this radical expression. Square root of 18 is actually 3 radical 2. So we can write, instead of square root of 18, everywhere 3 radical 2. So these two satisfy the conditions of the problem, and therefore we found the two sets of polar coordinates for the given point.